Faithful. Brayden here from the Niner Power Podcast. I run the Instagram page 49ers Coverage, joined here by
Raj Melwani from our SF 49ers Instagram and Twitter. Back with you with the Niner Power Podcast. How you been, Brayden? Haven't seen you in a while.
Oh, I've been doing great. Just had a week off there. No social media for a while. Feels great. Feels great to be back.
Good to have you back. And let's get right into it. I'm going to kick it to you so you can start things off.
Just what you all want to hear, the injury update. So we got Bosa with his ankle. Sources saying that 50-50 chance he could be playing week 1. DB K1 Williams suffered a knee injury. Safety Adrian Colbert with the hammy. O-guard Joshua Garnett with the finger. Breaking news, Weston Richburg activated off the PUP list from the knee injury. And Jerick McKinnon, finally get to see some of him. Limited, but he's back from the knee injury. What do you got to say about Jerick McKinnon there?
So Jerick McKinnon, they've been cautious. They've been cautious with everybody. It's good to see that we've been getting a lot of our players back and healthy. I'm excited to see what he can do. You know, we've all been waiting as Niner fans to see what he can do. So we'll see. You know, he's going to be limited. He's back in practice. They're going to see how that knee holds up and go from there. So, I mean, could he be an IR candidate? Possibly. A lot of people are saying that, but time will tell. We'll see how the knee holds up. And to add to that list, looks like George Kittle came back with his minor calf injury. They were being cautious with him. He's back at practice. And Dee Ford came back to practice. That's a huge sign for us. The defense really needs Ford. And looks like health is really improving, which in years past wasn't always the case. So right now it's a great sign. And Jimmy Ward came back this weekend. That was great to see.
Yeah, he was pretty pumped to be back. We saw him out in the field bouncing around and stuff. So he's very happy to be back. Looking forward to these roster cuts that are happening within a week here. Wide receivers coming down to Richie James, Kendrick Bourne. Like, who do we have here?
It's a tough matchup, and you also got to think of Jordan Matthews. Recently, Coach Shanahan put a lot of respect on Jordan Matthews. He says, he's having a hell of a training camp. We haven't really had to play him much because we know what to expect. We've seen the film on him. We don't have to see much of him in a game time action this weekend. PFF graded him as a 91.4 overall grade. That's pretty good. That's an elite grade. He's had 3 catches for 45 yards in the preseason. He's been consistent. He hasn't had a lot of chances, but when he has had one, he's been consistent. Then you got Kendrick Bourne, who's been up and down, who brings the personality. He's had some big moments, but then he's had some moments where you're like, you got to catch that ball. And then Richie James, like you said, this guy has played so hard through camp, preseason. He had a 92.6 grade PFF this weekend. He has 11 catches for 111 yards during the preseason. This kid is making big plays. He's also been playing well in the return game. I mean, it's a tough battle. And honestly, I don't want any of them to leave because they've all showed that they can bring something to this roster. What do you think about it?
When there's more competition, it brings the best out of players. We have through 3 preseason games, Pettis playing 65 snaps, followed by Richie James with 74, Kendrick Bourne with 104. I mean, those 3 players right there have been playing quite a bit. Kendrick Bourne getting the most of it. And throughout this whole preseason, we've seen Kendrick Bourne make some plays. That nice cut to the outside against the Broncos there. And notably, I'm going to talk about his drop, but that happens to the best of us. Richie James, few great plays there with showing his speed. Speed's very key in this 49ers offense. We have quite a bit of agility, quite a bit of speed. All that coming right off the line from Marquise. We got Pettis. We have Richie. Debo. Even Debo in those end rounds. We have so much competition. Such a great problem to have this year.
Really is. We got speed for days, and that's the thing. Like you said with Richie, he just brings another level of speed. And the thing that I've noticed with James is his routes have really improved. Like that play he had this weekend against the Chiefs where Jimmy comes up on the side, the big play to set up the touchdown to Breida, that was just all Richie James running that route tree, and he shook the defender, makes a big catch, and Jimmy throws a perfect pass to him. Richie James is really stepping up, and for him playing with the starters that game, that's a huge sign. I think they should really trust Richie James. Kendrick Bourne has had some, like you said, some moments to drop, but the touchdown in the end zone against the Broncos, man, that fade pass from Mullins, that was a thing of beauty. Like he has that type of potential, and he's got the young, the youth on his side, and he has a personality factor. He brings the personality to the locker room. So it's going to be tough between those guys. And like I said, with Jordan Matthews, he's not flashy, but he does his job, like Shanahan said. So It's a tough battle. It's still one more game, and nobody knows the answer.
For sure, and you can't just cut someone because they're not a big name. Like Jordan Matthews, great player and does his job. You can't, so to speak, fire someone for not doing their job. He's doing his job, blocking. He's got Kendrick Bourne blocking very well. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if these players are all doing their job correctly, it's very tough day for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan making these cuts.
Honestly, I'm glad I'm not Kyle Shanahan. He's got the hardest job in the world right now because we have so much talent on this roster. It can be hard to make these cuts. I really hope they keep 7 wide receivers, but like I said, the coaches know best. We can speculate all we want. We're not behind the scenes. We're not watching these players. We're not watching the film like Kyle Shanahan. At the end of the day, he's the head coach. His decision is the gospel. So just got to trust in what he sees.
With all the resources they have, it might be clear to them who they want. For us, that we might not see what they see, and all we can do is speculate. We can't forget about Jalen Hurd too.
That's right, Jalen Hurd. And that's an interesting name to bring up because we haven't heard much from him because after the first week where he sizzled, makes that debut, and everybody was talking about Jalen Hurd. He's had some back issues. He's been missing the last few practices and games because of back tightness. So could he end up being a player that they maybe put on the injury reserve or something? That's something to watch out. And if they do that, it opens the door for a guy like Kendrick Bourne and Richie James and Jordan Matthews to solidify their spot. So there's still questions um, regarding this team and Trent Taylor with his injury. Those types of things can help open the door for those guys that we've talked about already.
Rookie wide receiver Sean Poindexter there suffered that
Yeah,
ACL. Like you hate to see it.
that was rough. I was having high hopes. I thought he'd make it to the practice squad at least. His career hasn't even been able to take off. He didn't get his chance, and you really hate to see that kind of stuff.
Switching gears here to everyone's favorite quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo here, throwing his first touchdown against the Chiefs. How do you feel about Jimmy's performance?
Let's talk about Jimmy. This is the topic everybody wants to talk about. Obviously, last week people threw him in the doghouse. People were hating. All the media was going crazy on him, talking about how that was the worst performance. Everybody, all the media was eating him up, and I knew they were going to. He was rusty, and it was his first game in almost a year. This week, the in Kansas City, the place where he had the ACL injury, all of it, the scene of the crime, he came back and he was good. He wasn't perfect, but he looked like he really shook that rust off, and he looked happy out there. He was confident. He started off a little shaky, but once he got his groove, he started making third down plays. He made good plays, and the stats speak for itself. 14 for 20 for 188 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, and a passer rating of 116.2. The thing I really noticed was he looked just so confident dropping back. He took a sack. I was happy to see it, as crazy as that sounds. He took a sack, got right back up, shows he's a gamer. He needed that. He needed to take a hit and get right back up. Converting on third down, making some beautiful passes, like the pass to Breida. Beautiful pass, even better catch by Breida. The play to James was amazing. He hit some good plays over the middle, extended a lot of drives. Patrick Mahomes with a big touchdown, and he answered right back. That's what you like to see. It wasn't perfect. He underthrew some passes, of course, still rusty. And then the pass where he throws into triple coverage to Dante Pettis towards the end of the second half, that's something he needs to work on. But overall, great performance, a good bounce back performance after his, bad debut. And I was happy.
We saw what he could do in the red zone, very successful in the red zone there, and that pass to Ross Dwelly there that he did drop. If that was Kittle, the probability of that being caught increases, so
Oh,
that would
big
have
time.
extended the drive, leaving us not with 3 points, possibly 7. So lots of things could shift around the regular season there. 70% completion rate. I mean, bouncing back from a 0% completion rate, you can't complain with that.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, imagine when George Kittle's in there. That's only going to make the offense even better. Dwelly with the drop. You imagine, like you said, Kittle makes that catch, maybe a 7 point uh, increase right there, another touchdown. So those types of things you have to factor. Weston Richburg is back now, so maybe the protection is going to be even better. The protection was good overall. They kept them pretty clean. And the biggest thing I take away of this is it builds confidence for him. He needed this type of start. He's only going to get better from it. He's going to learn from it, learn from those mistakes. And the knee held up. That's the big story. Did his knee hold up? It did. With an ACL recovery, is he dropping back? Is there any pain in the knee? So far, there's no reports that there's any setbacks. So that's the biggest takeaway.
all we can do is just wait for week 1.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I really can't wait.
I know we've been saying this for the past few years that, oh, I can't wait. But this year we made some moves, got some picks. People are becoming healthy now. Good news regarding the injuries. So I feel like it's finally our year for something to go well.
I feel it too. It's like everything's starting to come together. It's starting to come together. The playoffs feel like they're reachable, but of course, they got to play the games. They got to win the games. They got to stay healthy, and everything's got to come together. But it feels like everything's moving in that direction, man.
Last season when Jimmy was playing and he had a 70% completion rate, they won. So every single time that he throws a good game, they win. Defense shows up, everyone's hyped.
They feed off of that energy for sure, man.
All that together, then start winning up games, racking up W's, slip into the playoffs, unless we control the NFC West, which isn't too far fetched.
Yeah, you're right. Once we start getting rolling, if we get a good momentum, you never know. It just takes those first few games to start getting that momentum, and things can follow. So hoping for a good season, but overall, Jimmy's performance was much needed for not only the fans but for him as well.
That's all today from the Niner Power Podcast, brought to you by Brayden from 49ers Coverage and
Raj from our SF 49ers. Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Thanks so much for watching.